Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name is Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
Yes, and I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm recovering from crystal meth and alcohol.
And our intention?
Crystal meth and alcohol, and I'm always in search of balance.
Well, you didn't
I
say
forgot
it.
the balance part, yeah.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
But each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
Did I do it already?
Yeah, I didn't finish my entrance. Yeah. But before we do that, please like, share, and comment on this episode.
Oh my God, I think I'm being too loud. Yeah, and like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, tell everyone about us, call your mama, tell her about us.
Call your mama.
I think I was talking too loud because I'm looking at this panel, the whatever recording panel, and it turned red like a few times when I was.
It turned red.
Well, see, it just did it when you did it. See, it just turned red.
Okay.
Or maybe I didn't realize my voice was so loud.
Well, he told me.
Actually, that's not true. I know my voice.
This is why I've been trying to speak up, because he's like, Lewis's voice is too soft.
Who said that?
Brandon is like, sometimes it's like,
oh, well, yeah, because you pull away from the mic.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to need you to stop.
Okay.
How are you doing, huh? You son of a...
I'm good, and I'm very eager to talk about part 2
I know.
Of bridging the divide between abstinence and harm reduction.
Absolutely.
So if you didn't listen to our last episode, go listen to it.
I know, exactly.
I Lewis and I are realizing that our opinions are a little divergent.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
On abstinence versus harm reduction.
And what's interesting that they might be closer than we think. It's just that I don't have the. What's interesting? When you don't have conversation all the time. Mm-hmm. Older feelings start to come to the surface.
Bring those feelings.
And they need to come to the surface because, like, one of the gifts of this process is that I'm open to changing my ideas, especially once I understand, that, if what I was thinking is not really in line with what really is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, listen, what I understood from our last conversation, at least what I was picking up on, is that you feel protective of your recovery.
Absolutely.
That is the spirit of 12-step is that people are very protective of their recovery. And to have someone or anything compromise that is threatening.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us, it's threatening because our lives depend on 12-step, right? Yeah. And so I think that gets very... that gets tricky when you are around people who like drink and use, who are engaged in like a harm reduction program.
Absolutely.
And I think the other part of this is what I was saying before, is that there aren't enough spaces for people who are engaged in harm reduction. I think the other thing here too that's missing is I have a lot of empathy and deep love for people who come back, right? They go out and they come back, and we know quite a few people that have done that, right?
Exactly.
And I have deep love and deep empathy for them. And part of that for me is like, I know it's hard.
Yeah, no,
I know
absolutely.
it's hard. Even people who have long-term sobriety, it's still hard, right? We still deal with feelings, all kinds of things, right?
No, exactly. The thing I think that frustrates me is that you have individuals who relapse and they come back and they instantly feel, and you said the culture makes it tough.
Yeah.
When I'm not in my right mind spiritually or whatever, nothing that somebody gives me is going to come off the way it is received. It's kind of like having an argument on text. It is pointless, And so
that doesn't keep you from sending.
Oh yeah,
flamey text messages.
Well, no, it's not flamey. It's just you know me, and maybe I'm maybe the assumption is I'm assuming, that I'm just going to say it because it just needs to be said. It's not like I'm all, you dirty son of a, because I would use the words if I was going to attack.
I see.
It's like that. My thing is like, I'm just say it, just put it out there. It's kind of like it's information. You know how we always talk about it's just information.
And I don't want to tone police either.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think the question was, so for people listening, Louis sent me an angry text message earlier today.
There was nothing angry about that. That was just like, it was just a matter of fact. It was just a matter of fact. It's because I think that
there are different ways of saying things, Louis.
No, well, how was I supposed to say it? Rosie, was I supposed to dance around you and play it under with a guitar?
Listen, you know what? Next episode, I'm going to bring out the text messages and we're going to read them.
Exactly. No, it's okay.
So,
it's like I appreciate that you're sensitive. It's okay.
I am sensitive, but also I think my sensitivity isn't like, I'm sensitive, but I'm also reasonable. And my sensitivity is not like, oh, I'm easily harmed. My sensitivity is that I have a very clear way that I know I want to be spoken to. And especially in my close relationships.
Absolutely. But okay, so to speak about that specifically, since we're speaking about
that. We are all over the place.
No, exactly. But
go ahead, I'm listening. I
don't feel like anything I said in that text was offensive or was bothersome. I just said we need. Yeah. What I did say is like we should.
Oh, we are really going there.
No. What I said is we should have we're self-correcting. What I said we should have a schedule because not having a schedule makes what happens subsequently easy. It's easy to say, oh, because we never had the conversation
about our
there was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah. So harm reduction here, ladies and gentlemen.
Harm reduction is having a schedule.
Harm reduction is talking things out sometimes.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
On air in front of an audience.
It's harm reduction is not making assumptions. It's not taking,
Louis, don't. Yeah, I'm going to bring out the receipts next time.
Yeah, you should bring out the receipts. So it's pretty fascinating that it's brought up and then all of a sudden it should. No, you don't talk about it.
Okay, we can talk about it.
No, let's not talk about it. No. Okay, so let's go back to...
So I anticipated that if I brought it up, it would turn into a thing. Not because, you're defensive, but because I know we were going to have divergent opinions around your communication style.
Okay. So are we gonna gaslight me? Is this what we're gonna do?
What do you mean?
Is this what we're gonna do?
What do you mean? How am I gaslighting?
Because do you feel like there was no issue?
No. So what I didn't get a chance to say is that what you were saying was truthful, right? That's why I said earlier I don't want to tone police.
Yeah.
Because tone policing is, well, I don't like the way you said that to me, which, that's valid.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the text messages, what you said was factually true. Mm-hmm. Right. So, so if I'm not tone policing and I'm just looking at the context, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. I think for me is I'm not very responsive to what feels like aggressive communication. And to be fair, it's over text message, so you can't really read it. Because I know if we were in person, it would feel a little different.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying here. Do you think I'm still gaslighting you?
No. But I just, for a while I was like, what's going on here? I got you.
Okay. So harm reduction is you talk things out like this. Mm-hmm, Gifts of recovery.
Harm reduction. So back to
we're arguing in front of the kids.
No, exactly. What's really interesting about
what?
I think one of what I was hearing and what I hear sometimes is you have folks who okay, for lack of a better way of saying that, it's in my opinion, if someone is actively practicing harm reduction, if you're coming to 12 steps meeting, you're not participating in the 12 step process. You can come to meetings. I think that everybody is welcome to come to meetings.
Yeah.
But what you receive from other people, and this is kind of my comparison to RuPaul's Drag Race. You're coming into my house and you're upset about how I do things.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
That's where a lot of my frustrations come, because I have empathy for people who struggle.
Yeah.
I do. I absolutely do. It's like I feel so sad because we lose so many people because of whatever reason,
Yeah. And 100%. I hear your point about, like, I like the analogy about you come into my house and you don't like the way, like, I really like that analogy. And I think the other part of that is, like, the person who wants to continue to drink or use or whatever, that person also gets to make decisions, right? Uh-huh. Like the people who come in and out of 12-step spaces and they feel shame. It's like, well, maybe you should ask yourself, like, do I want to continue doing this to myself? My point from the last episode is that there aren't very many options available to people.
No, absolutely.
We live in a big city where there are literally over 600 meetings.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
And I think that more people rather than not, and this is where I need to be careful, because like when I hear you say it's a culture that breeds this or whatever, I think that more times than not, folks are patient and loving.
Oh, I think in general, yes.
And I think that
yes.
I think one of the criticisms of San Francisco recovery is that
it's too soft.
Is that we're too soft.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I know folks who over and over and over, and early on I had issue. Now I'm just like, you know what? I want to love you and I want to be there for you. But if I don't feel like I can be that, then that's when I step back.
Yeah.
Because if I've talked about it before, there's a relapse prevention meeting that I go to. And when I reach that point where I'm not able, I don't have a poker face, when I'm not able to not make what you're going through about me, that's when I have to step back. Because I don't want to be the reason why this is not a safe thing for you.
Yeah, I get that. And I get that. And, I think it's interesting that we titled the episode, of recovery, bridging the divide, recovery, abstinence versus harm reduction, because, I mean, they are different, right? Like, I'm thinking about the way it works at the hospital, and we have very different tracks. Like, there's certain tracks that you can't join, and we're not 12-step,
Yeah, exactly.
There are certain tracks that you can't join unless you're going to abstain, right? And we do drug testing, and the drug testing is not punitive. It's information to figure out where people are. So we have tracks, and then we have tracks that are for harm reduction. And then we have tracks, for example, that are for dual diagnosis. So people who have addiction and they have other things going on. And that's the other part to this too, right? Is that you can have people who come into recovery actually have very complex trauma and they find themselves going out. Right. And I think that's the part that I feel tender about is, and then these people on top of their trauma, on top of trying to like deal with their issues, are also now coming back to a space that is either criticizing them either directly or indirectly. Now, to your earlier point, 100%, I think like overwhelmingly most 12-step spaces are actually quite supportive. And the converse is also true, that there are spaces that are not very supportive.
But let me ask you something. Okay, so I feel like someone who is actively seeking out harm reduction is different from someone who is struggling in abstinence. I feel like
that's interesting.
I feel like this is where that difference in, because my goal is, if I'm going to an abstinence-based program, is to never use again, but I'm struggling because of, for whatever reason. But if I'm headed to, if I know I don't want to stop using it, I've decided I just want to find ways to, and that's where like it's different. That's where I don't really feel like that person that's going through what they're going through, and it's just not the same. Like I think that someone who like is at that place again with where they're focusing on harm reduction, they're not interested in coming to the meetings. They're not interested in. They're really not interested in what we have to say. And they're not bothered by, a lot of times they're not bothered by the fact that they're making it, because it comes down to getting some acceptance around your choices.
Yeah. And I think the important distinction to make here is people who have an addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people who, right. And And I wonder if, folks who engage in harm reduction, neither one of us is in a harm reduction program, but I wonder if for folks who are in harm reduction, if they have an addiction, right?
Some of the people that I've seen in there. No, it's like, maybe not.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
But
I don't know.
What it comes down to, even the folks who come to 12 step,
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm really kind of listening to the words, then I'm only concerned about me. I'm only concerned about what I've got going on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like the way that I word that is like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you. But based on that, there are consequences. They can be good or bad, but there are consequences. If I decide as a person who practices abstinence that I had a friend who early recovery, and I would hang out with him, and he wanted to smoke pot, and he was not even like, I don't know if he was clear that I didn't want to do it. I just stopped hanging out around him.
Yeah.
You don't have to change your behavior. I've got to change my behavior. I got to be responsible for me. And if that bothers you, that maybe you can think about that, but that's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
And it seems kind of cold, but it's like, I'm not interested. Like I'm going to be there for you if you're making some sort of an effort, but I can't want it more than you want it.
Can I tell you, like, clinically, like in my professional role, sometimes when I'm working with someone, there's so much coming up for me. So sometimes when I'm working with someone and they relapse, and my approach, when they relapse, I wonder what's happening right now, right? There are certain things we can point to, right? We can say, well, there were like triggers here, right? We have all these things in place to help people get sober. Mm-hmm. And we can say like, oh, there were triggers here and you were vulnerable to this trigger. I could look at your history, your family of origin, and I can say like, oh, here are some vulnerabilities you had, right? And the goal is to like address those vulnerabilities. Now, we can address those vulnerabilities and someone can still go out.
Oh yeah.
And then I wonder what's going on here, right? And it's not a moral failing.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I wonder, is it really about like motivation, and are there things like inhibiting the motivation, or, are there other things at play that I can't see? And the truth is that yes, there are things that I can't see, mm-hmm. So yeah, I often find myself wondering like, what is happening right now? Is it possible, for example, to do the 12 steps perfectly?
Oh yeah. No,
and still, and like still find yourself going out.
I feel like once you reach that point where you have recovered from that hopeless state where you can't not, I feel like, and I heard this from a sponsor before, it's like, if I were to pick up the day, that's on me. That's because I made a decision.
Yeah.
It's not about mm-hmm. some uncontrollable urge or whatever. I also know that there are things that I have in place that safeguard, and I can start to see patterns like when I let things go. Like we've talked about before, like something as basic as not making up my bed on a regular basis, not paying my bills, not going to meetings, not spending time with people that doing things like that. There are all those things that are in place. Going back to the difference between like someone who is struggling in 12-step and someone who is actively wanting to practice harm reduction. I feel like...
Stop hitting the table.
I know. Bang the table.
Uh-huh.
I feel like, the goal, it comes down to what your end goal is. And the end goal is like, if you're trying to stop and you're doing everything that you can, and this is where it gets weird, because you have folks that's like, they're not doing everything that they can. They're just doing the bare minimum and upset that the bare minimum is not working out for them. Not making any changes to their behavior. And I mean, that's a judgment, and it's unfortunate, but it's like, for me, I have to discern or use some of that judgment to decide, because I'm tired of burying people, and I go through periods where I'm just like, you know what? I don't see this person getting any better, and it's for the same reason why I don't get a puppy or a cat, because like I get attached to people.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I was thinking about is like the quality of life. So what I like about abstaining from substances and certain process addictions is that I really like my life. You know what I mean? Like, things are really stressful right now, but I love that I have a community. I love that I have literally a design for living. I have support, and I just don't know. Like, I wonder if that exists with someone who's engaged in harm reduction. Like, can you have like fulfilling, healthy relationships with people who are also using? Because I remember when I was out, those relationships weren't like sound. You know what I mean? No. Like, they weren't real relationships. There were people I drank with, and when I got sober, I didn't know who they were, or we didn't have much to talk about when we weren't drunk. Or
I think the problem is, and you said it, the problem is the addiction, whether or not the person actually has addiction. Because if I don't have a problem, I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not feeling like I need to do something different so that I don't find myself in a trap house constantly or whatever. I think that's what it comes down to.
You know what I think is super sexy? When a guy, like a normie.
There you go with that.
Hold on. A person who's not in addiction, someone who doesn't have a substance addiction. So what I think, when, like, let's say they have a glass of wine and they don't even finish it.
You think that's sexy?
There's something about like...
you know what makes it sexy? That I get to finish it for them.
No. Well, because what I think what I find attractive about that is like someone who is like disciplined and doesn't like indulge. Like, doesn't, like, let themselves get there. Doesn't indulge in
alcohol.
Yeah. Well, the point is what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No. Well, who knows?
That was my point about normies, because they may have something else that
right,
like killing puppies. And,
right. No, of course,
collecting stamps or something.
But what I'm saying is that when it comes to like drinking, right, that this is like a person is like, oh yeah, like I'll drink, but my goal is not to get fucked up. My goal is not to. There's something about like someone who wants to keep their senses intact,
My goal is not to get fucked up this time.
Yeah.
No, actually. Did you have any idea when you came up with this topic that it would be so
contentious?
Yes, exactly.
I didn't think it was going to be contentious, but I did think that we would have like opinions that didn't align.
The conversation's been very rich.
Yeah, I know. I think so too. The other thing is that so much of like the research that I've been reading a lot recently has been around. So I've been focusing a lot on like LGBT recovery. And a lot of what I've been reading has been about like harms done or motivations and stuff like that. And, I think about, and then, that like the way I operate is from like a position of abstinence.
Absolutely. What's really cool too? Like, I might feel a certain way, but because I really trust you and I listen to you,
sure.
Like, I'm going to leave this and I'm going to process it and then I'll be able to. It's really weird how sometimes I work through. Like, when I get upset, it's something that I've been like rigid with or whatever, and it's that discomfort that like I'm going through the process of transformation. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's something that I go through every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would love to be that kind of actually, to keep it 100. I remember I went in for a procedure a couple years ago, and they gave me propofol and fentanyl. And I remember when I woke up out of that, and I thought to myself, I want to feel like this all the time.
Absolutely.
And I remember like everything, everyone was so nice and I just loved everything. I would love to have that be my baseline, not like on drugs, but like my baseline to be like agreeable and like all hippy dippy, and that's just not the way I function.
No, it's like I don't know. It's like that would be nice.
Yeah, like I would love that to be my baseline. But to your point about like learning and softening, and I think I think when I'm in my professional, well, I feel like I'm pretty integrated, like my normal, like my personal life and my professional life. And I try to keep that, right? I think in my professional role, it's my job to be flexible. It's my job to like metabolize if you're being an asshole. That's like my job. In my personal life, I try to maintain those things. However, what I think is different is that I'm also allowed to have normal fucking responses to things.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like I'm allowed to get angry. I don't have to like manage my affect. I don't have to like curate everything that I'm saying in order to make sure that you're not like being offended.
Is that for work or?
No, I'm saying in my real life.
Yeah.
Like but that doesn't mean that I like, I'm not a mindful communicator. Right. Yeah. But there are certain, there's certain things that I try to let go a little bit, right? Like maybe I'm not asking the probing question because that's just not the relationship we have and we don't need to go there. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that can be difficult. But you know, like wrapping up around abstinence and harm reduction, I think the ultimate, goal in any program, is for people to get support. It's for people to live their lives. It's for people to feel okay in their skin. And I'm behind anything that helps that. Right. And I also think that it's, and people have the right to protect their recovery in whatever way that they want to.
I guess I have a, maybe this is controversial or whatever, but it's like, I think that clinicians or individuals who guide people through this, like, abstinence process, I think it's irresponsible not to have conversations about long-term abstinence. Like eventually, like, is this like, you know, when you talk about your goals, it's like, do you want to just use forever or do you want to eventually not like use at all? Like, is this something that like is even on the table?
Are you saying that it's irresponsible if a clinician?
Well, it's like, and I'm pretty sure that clinicians do have the conversation, but it's like, if a person is just like, I want to use and never stop, I'm like, it's point. Why are you doing harm? Why are you doing anything like that?
I mean, here's the thing. That what I've learned about the hospital that I'm at right now is we are going to do absolutely everything possible in order to make sure that you live.
Yeah.
And it might be, maybe we think that you would be better off in one program, but maybe like actually you're just ready for a different one. Right. So we're going to do everything we can. And I think that's the difference between, say, like community support, so like 12-step versus like a formal setting, is that it's our responsibility to do whatever we can. Right. And so there's no, so of course, like when I'm terminating with a patient, I'm asking about like their long-term goals, you know, like how do we keep this together for you? Right. And if you can't keep it together, like how do we find a way back? So I think everyone, and I think you do too, like, I think everyone deserves to live happy, fulfilling lives. And
just like with any conversations we have, it's like everything that I've talked about, this is my opinion, you know? And I mean, we have that disclaimer. Oh, we didn't do the disclaimer today, did I? No, I don't know what you did. Oh, it's like man. He was all confused earlier because it's like, I didn't say one word. It's like, you didn't read the script right. No, actually, but to that, it's like, I think you should have the conversation. You should ask yourself the questions, especially if you're in abstinence, because abstinence programs, 12-step. I think that like we have a responsibility, like you said, to make sure that it's a safe space, it's a safe environment, and that not everybody is going to take to it the same way. Yeah. And one of my responsibilities is to clean house, trust my higher power, and to help others. And if I'm really wanting to help others, I'm not helping just folks who get it easily. There are some people who struggle. And I've been fortunate enough to see folks struggle like that, go in and out, and then get it. And they do get it. And unfortunately, on the flip side of that, I've seen people who struggle and never get it.
You know what? If I think maybe we should have another episode on this, because I wanna actually jump into the research a little bit more to see like what is it that we know
Look at
about
part 3. It's like,
yeah, I know. I really do want to jump in and like take a deeper dive into harm reduction programs and like their successes. And
I know, and
stuff like that.
And maybe what we do is like you were saying, it's like there are not many options, but maybe we talk to and share, especially in San Francisco, and maybe around, like like we did with Dr. Dumas, where we had the one episode. Yeah,
Damas.
absolutely.
Yeah. Dr. Damas.
I did not call him Dr. Damas.
All right, well, let's land this plane, Louis.
The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help change lives by supporting personal growth.
And our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community opportunity and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us, at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And you can catch new episodes Mondays early, like they
early
drop
Mondays,
right away.
Mondays for sure.
Exactly,
Mondays
because
for sure.
there's a bunch of them in the queue. Y'all have a good day.
You all have a good day. We'll talk to you later. And of course, we absolutely love you.